I think I saw your threads and you know what I mean? I watched a couple of videos. I was like, wait. First of all, you made me miss home. So that's number one. I was like, oh no, I miss
Yeah, South
home.
Africa's a beautiful place. Like honestly,
Oh,
there's just nowhere else in the world like it.
oh my goodness. So let me start there. What drew you to South Africa? I mean, it's a beautiful place. It's home. I'm biased. So, but I need to hear from someone else. So where's your home? Where do you come from? Born and bred. Where has your love for wine taken you and why South Africa? So many questions to start us off with.
Where was I? So I was born and bred in Los Angeles, California,
All right.
and I moved to South Africa. I first visited South Africa in 2016. So this year is actually my 10-year anniversary of like stepping foot in this
Look at
country.
you.
I can't believe that it was 10 years ago. That sounds so strange saying that. I was traveling a lot. So I'm a sommelier and I was traveling for wine. So I would go to different wine regions whenever I would learn about a new wine region.
Yeah.
And I have been to Italy, I've been to France, I went to Spain, and I loved Spain. I was like, you know what? I am going to move to Barcelona.
Wow.
Yo poquito español y los hombros es muy guapo. That's what I always tell people. So like I'm going to Spain, I'll find me a Spanish husband, and that was going to be my life. And then God spoke to me and he was like, how dare you think about moving to a European country when you have not even been to Africa, haven't stepped foot on the continent yet, right? So I was like, okay, I need to come to the mother city. But you know, like when you're in America, Africa seems so far away.
Yeah.
And then there's misconceptions that people have. Africa is dangerous. Black people in Africa don't like Black Americans. Um, like the silliest stuff. You need 20 shots to go to Africa,
It's quite
right?
silly to be fair. It's
It
quite
is
silly.
so silly. I'm going to go to South Africa because when I was in high school, I used to protest apartheid. So I was like, South Africa's
Oh,
always been like on my radar. And so I came to South Africa. I picked Cape Town instead of Johannesburg. Um, but I picked it because of the wine, because this is where wine lives in the Western Cape. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Cape Town. And I spent one day in the city center, and then I spent 2 weeks in Stellenbosch, and then 1 week back in the city center. And I just fell in love with it. Like I literally felt like this was the most magical place on earth for me at that time. Um, what I loved about it was how many Black people work in the wine space.
yes.
So in the vineyards, in the cellar, in the tasting rooms, the restaurants had the best sommeliers and they were Black. And so I was like, okay, I found my tribe. And that's when I decided to move to Cape Town. Like, yeah, I said, okay, I found
Wow.
my tribe. This is what I'm gonna do. And so not to move. So at that time I said, I'm gonna move. I'm gonna visit. So then I came back in 17 for a visit and I loved it some more. And I started every single time I came, I was building community, I was building my network.
Right.
And so I came back in 17, then I came back in 18. And when I came back in 18, I was like, you know what? I want to move to Cape Town. I need to figure this out. Why am I playing? Right. And at the time, I was working a corporate job in accounting. And I was like, well, do I want to just work in accounting and see if I can find an accounting job? Or what do I want to do? And then I was like, no, I don't want to do that because who wants to be in the office and it's so beautiful in Cape Town? So I was like, you know what, in this business part time, this wine business, maybe I can do it full time there. Let me figure this out. So I went through a lot of back and forths, and I worked harvest for 6 weeks. So I worked at the Tuanni Winery for 6 weeks. Moved to the city center. Loved, loved, loved the city center way too much. Went back home in June of 2018, packed all my stuff, got out of the lease of my apartment, and I was back in Cape Town to live by December of 2018.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds
So
like a love story to me,
and it is a love story. It's my love story with Cape Town.
right? Let me figure this out, how we can be together, essentially. Let me make my way back to you because we need to be together. Like, it just sounds like the perfect love story.
So that's what happened. And then I was here during, and before when I first moved here, I was going back and forth because I hadn't really had my business plan figured out. So I would go
Hmm.
back home, I would make money doing accounting jobs, taking on contracts, and then I would come back here. So I was like 3 months in, 3 months out, 3 months in, 3 months out. And that
Wow.
was going to be the cadence of my life. So I thought, and then COVID happened. And then when COVID happened, I had to figure stuff out. I had to figure out how to make an actual life in Cape Town. And yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I did.
But where does your love for wine come from? That is what is fascinating to me because you honestly, like anybody who looks at your content will immediately see the love for wine. That just, the passion. Like honestly, you couldn't deny it. It's all over
You
your face, it's all over your system, your whole body. You embody
I
the,
love that. Thank you.
yeah,
The reason, so I think the reason that I love wine so much is because wine is about, it's about community, it's about culture, it's about conversation, it's about history, it's about geography, it's about all the things that we do in life, right? And it's all put into this one thing, a glass of wine, right? So when you think about a glass of wine, you're going to talk about like where these grapes are grown, like what was
yes,
happening in the vineyard, what was the weather like,
yes,
where is the vineyard situated. So it's all about
a
geography.
lot,
What
a
kind of
lot.
what kind of norms did they have? How did they make the wine? What are their beliefs? What are
Yes.
their value systems? Do they value the land, you know?
Ah,
And then when you drink that wine, you're usually drinking that wine. Most people, I mean, I'm a wine professional. I don't usually even just drink at home. Usually I'm drinking that wine. Either it's a glass of wine with my man and we're talking about fun things, or we're having DMC, deep, meaningful conversations, or I'm with my girlfriends and we're celebrating something, and, we're celebrating somebody got a promotion. We're celebrating somebody had a baby, got married. So for me, wine is just not about like juice. It's not just about this beverage. It's
mm,
about this community. And I think that's what I fell in love with wine.
mm.
Like I started a wine club with my friends, and that's how I learned about wine. So I learned about wine with my friends in this wine club, and I loved
Ah.
that experience. It's just continued on and on and
Connection,
on.
right? It's about connection. The big theme that I'm hearing from you describing where that
It is.
love comes from. It's about connection. And you don't have to be an avid reader of, books about wine and the history. And you just have to kind of be curious, I think, at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Be curious about
And
the art of it, the science of it, like the making of, how everything comes together before you get to the
yeah.
packaging. Being South African, I understand all there is to understand about wine. And it's funny because I was never really big into it in terms of like appreciating it because I guess when something is yours as well, you don't really appreciate it as much as an outsider would come in and go, "You have this amazing thing. Why don't you appreciate it a bit more?" It's always
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Sometimes when something is home brewed, you know, it just doesn't, it hits different from
Yeah.
a visitor.
Right in front of you just don't
Yes,
appreciate it. It's
exactly.
kind of like our parents. Our parents we take for granted because they live our whole life,
Then
right?
all your
But when you
friends
think about
love your parents.
yeah, when you think about how magical being somebody's parent is,
Yeah,
it's just like, it's amazing. But I know we take it for granted a lot, our
exactly.
parents.
Exactly.
And I feel like anything that you love, you usually just take it for granted.
Right? Someone
But
else
yeah,
will come and tell you, "Oh, but this is so cool. You folks are so cool." Or, you know, like South African wines. I meet people all the time. You're from South Africa. Oh, the wines. Oh, I visited Stellenbosch. Oh, I was there. I was here. I was like, yeah, yeah. You know,
yeah,
it's
I can
home. And
imagine.
I did the wine route years ago. Years ago, I did the wine route, the whole thing. And, but it didn't. It didn't have a lasting impression on me. I guess it was just one of those things I wanted to do, just
But
sightseeing
I
a bit.
think
Yeah, but
But I think too, like if you did the wine route years ago, and I think why a lot of South Africans, especially Black and colored South Africans, don't necessarily, now they are, in recent years they are, right?
yeah,
But historically, I just don't think that it's been something that they've celebrated and embraced as a culture, as something that's for them because of the history, because of the DOP system,
I
because of
guess.
the labor issues. You know what I
Sure,
mean? And
sure.
those things look very, very real, and they affect the communities, right? So I think that's why I love wine too, because now with freedom and opportunity, we get to be a part of this very magical
Yeah.
experience. We don't have to drink because we're depressed. We don't have to drink because this is the only thing somebody gave us leftover wine.
Right?
It's like choose what we drink, we can celebrate when we drink, or we
Mm.
can. It's like we have more control and more say
Ah,
in the culture, which
yeah,
I'm very, very, and that's one of the things that I'm super proud of, and like
yeah.
one of the things that I'm always like pushing forward to. A big part of
Oh,
my business goals is making sure that I showcase Black excellence in the wine
I was
industry,
coming
because there's
there. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, there's some
Oh,
Black people in the wine industry here
yeah.
in South Africa and in America.
Why
Yeah,
is it so important to you to celebrate Black wineries in particular?
before, especially in South Africa,
Hmm.
Black people pretty much built this industry. When you think about the wine industry in South Africa, it's one of the oldest wine industries in the entire world,
Yes.
right? And so in the 1600s, there was actually a Black person, a freed Black slave, who planted the first grapes at one of the most amazing wineries in South Africa, Lanzerek. And little people know that, you know what I mean? People will tell me all the time, why do you care about Black people in the wine industry? They have not
Mm,
historically been a part of the wine industry, which is false. Black people in
it's
South Africa
so
have
far from
always
the
been part
truth.
of the industry. Yeah. So even in the 1600s, a Black man planted 4,000 vines at Lanzerek. Remnants of those vines, the whole history, the culture from those vines still exists. You know what I mean? And people celebrate with the grapes from the original plantings. I think I'll go hard on it because I want people to know that, it's part of our culture. We belong part of this culture. We belong
Oh,
here. So, it's
yes.
just really important for me. It's important for me for us to feel like that, and no matter where we are, right? For
Mm-hmm.
me, it just happens to be wine, right? But we have Black doctors, Black lawyers,
Sure.
architects. We have been a part of culture for such a very long time. My part of the culture just happens. My passion happens to lie in wine,
Exactly.
but I'm passionate about everything that's Black culture. This concept, I love it when you said Blackness, right? Because this concept of Blackness crosses oceans, it crosses continents, and it's this community that we have across the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
right? And no matter where we go, we are denied access and opportunity to culture and to lifestyle, even though we're the curators and the creators of the culture and the lifestyle.
WordJam, the app that makes English stick. Smash through comparative adjectives, boost your vocabulary, and master word associations in minutes. Invite a friend to join around for free and turn learning into a challenge. Quick, smart, and unforgettable. WordJam is your English power up. Download WordJam today and level up your words. Visit edu-info.info.
Most certainly, I know for my country in South Africa, a lot of rights have been denied for a long time. And a lot of wrongs by other people, they've tried to right the wrongs by documenting, which is a big part of why I also wanted to talk to you, because what you're doing is also documenting and
Yeah,
archiving in
yeah.
this history, this rich history, and these cultural experiences, cross-cultural experiences, I might say.
In culture and communities and history, we go through times, right?
Yeah,
And so there's a period of colonization, right? When
sure.
the Europeans left Europe and then they went across to the Americas, they came to the Africas, they went to the South Americas, to the Africas,
Asia.
and for Asia,
Yeah.
and they went looking for things that they didn't have in their own community, right? And for people who were, if you were in Africa and you were minding your own business and you had plenty, in Africa, they didn't suffer. They didn't have lack of water, lack of food. Whatever happened during colonization, it wasn't nice, right? And
Hmm.
it happened. They're still living off of that wealth from colonization. But when you look at ancient history, colonization and post colonization, this is like a small time period. You know
Mm,
what I mean? So, like, people were living in Africa, they were living in Asia, in South America. They were living their lives and living
yes.
off of the land for a very long time, pre colonization. And so, this period of colonization and post colonization, I feel like it's just it's a small period in time, and
Mm,
it's our job right now to make sure that it stays a small period in time, right? Because
Yes.
right now what we're doing is we can build our communities, we can build our culture, we can build our wealth. And, we probably won't see this wealth that we're building right now in our generation, but in generations
Uh,
after us,
I hope
they will
so.
be. I mean, I hope so too, right? But I mean, like, when I say this wealth, I mean this long-term wealth, this
Yes.
long-term culture,
Yeah.
long-term, you know what I mean? I don't mean like today's, let me go out and give me a Louis bag wealth. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean this generational wealth and this
Long
generational, like,
lasting, solid.
long
Wow.
lasting, yeah, and culture and community. And I think that the way that the world is changing, the fact that we all have so much access to information across the diaspora, like
Yeah.
me and you were talking, you're all the way in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah. Imagine
That,
that.
yes, imagine that, and imagine 100 years from now, what the world is going to look like.
Mm.
And I think it's going to look totally different than it looks today. And there'll be different people who are heading up culture and communities. And yeah, it might stabilize and normalize, have some kind of like balance between pre-colonization and colonization, right? Because colonization wasn't 100% bad, maybe 85%, but
Yeah.
like,
Don't say it with a squid. Nah, it's true.
there were some great things that came out of it, like the Industrial Revolution and
Yeah.
now technology. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So
Yes. Yes.
things have to change. But finding a balance between all of that would be my most ideal
Yes.
world, right? Where we can all share, where every culture, every community can share in the wealth, can share in the resources.
Yes.
And maybe I'm just like Delulu for thinking that. But for me, that would be the perfect world where, you know what, we say, let's just all share in these resources that we
That's the
have.
thing. That's the thing. Connection is connection for me. Of course, the Brits, especially for South Africans and the Dutch and whoever did this, did that, they all have a lot to account for, in the colonization, era and so on. But like we're saying, not all of it was without its benefits. Especially much later on, we got to see, oh, okay, they left us with this. Was this their parting gift? Oh, we have this. What, right? So for me, part of the reclaiming of what's ours and what I never like to think of things, in fact, in that way, in quite that way, like in terms of specifically saying what's ours, we need to reclaim and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, my platform is all about identity, heritage, culture, and all these things. But what I love about Black people all across the world, we have such big, warm, open hearts. We do.
Yeah.
We are
No,
so
100.
embracing of everybody. We just don't care who you are. If you fit, so you can have a glass of wine with literally anybody and chat,
Yeah.
and it can be a conversation starter. Tell me about where you grew up. Tell me about, and this is a person who looks nothing like you, who doesn't speak your language yet. But okay, English connects us, whatever. But but you can tell them something about your language and they can do the same.
Most people are good people. Most people, listen, I remember when I was in LA, and it was like the last time I was in LA, it was at the height of like this whole like George Floyd,
Oh
like
boy.
police brutality. It was a very tense moment, right? And whenever I would see, and I used to take the train to work. And so I would see a lot of cops on the streets, and I would look at the cops and I would
Mm,
just think, that cop probably just wants to make it home to their family tonight, right?
yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's all that any of us want. We literally just want to go back to our home the same way that we left in the morning for the most part. We want to go home healthy and kiss our children or kiss our spouse or kiss your dog,
Unscathed.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's how humans are around the world. But then there are certain people who are just greedy and pedophiles. We won't talk about that person, but there's certain people who are greedy and they just don't care about humanity. They only care about themselves,
Oh,
right? And they mess it up for the rest of us. That's what I think that most people are good, no matter what color, creed, race,
I'm
religion,
with you.
sex. are. Most people are good people.
I'm with you. And I'm all about finding those people. I don't like to
Yeah, we
focus,
want to
I don't like to
keep those
focus on
people.
on the lot that is all bad, all evil, all,
I know. It's the evil ones that make it up for the
all
good people. So
eerie.
the evil ones
Oh,
make the evil ones make it bad for the people like me and you and the rest of the, I would say 85% of the people in the world who are just good people.
what inspired the name
Sips,
Sips with Soul?
it's just like you're sipping and it's sips that are good for the soul. It's like soul.
Mm. But again,
Yes.
it's not like we are hogging the wine or we are hogging anything within the culture and whatever, because you're able to, like we said, have wine with anybody, talk to anybody about literally anything, right? So anyone with a soul, anyone with a beating heart, literally can connect with you. You know what I mean? On your tours and everything.
So
Although
like
you do
my
highlight and celebrate black wineries, you know what I mean? But you're not
excellent.
exactly shutting every other person out.
So listen, I will be 100% real, right? One of my favorite people, living or dead, is Steve Biko, right? He talks about Black consciousness, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
what is Black consciousness, right? Black consciousness is the desire and the will for Black economic growth, for Black communities to be strong and healthy, right? I'm summarizing,
Yeah.
but that's Black consciousness, right? And to have Black consciousness does not mean that you have to have white hate. Like those
Speak on it.
two things are totally separate, right?
Yes.
I want all of our communities to be strong and healthy and
Mm,
thriving. Historically, the powers that be have not always made that possible.
it's the
So for
politics.
my community,
Yeah.
my Black community historically has lived under oppression for a number of
Mm,
years. They haven't had access, right? And so if I'm running a race with somebody and that my shoes got stolen, my shoes got stolen, and I'm running a race with you, what are you going to do? Are you going to be like, too bad for you? We still going to run this race at the same pace or at the same time, run the same length?
um,
Are you going to be as a human? Are you going to be like, as a human, you know what? I know that your shoes got stolen.
yeah.
Let me give you one of my shoes. Let me run without shoes. Are
Mm.
you going to make some kind of accommodation as a human? Now, you don't have to,
Yeah,
but
but
how
you
human do
have
you
an
want?
unfair head start. So, in fairness, are you also feeling good about winning in that way?
And our parents used to always tell us, well, life isn't fair, right? Life isn't fair. And life cannot be fair, right? So, as a person running that race, you have every right to say, you know what? That's your luck that your shoes got stolen. I'm still going to run this race just like I would if your shoes had not gotten stolen. So, Sips with Soul is not necessarily about excluding anybody.
Yeah.
For sure. It's not everybody is welcomed,
Mm.
but it's about giving Black winemakers, Black restaurants, um, Black ownership a chance to thrive in this wine
Oof.
community, in this wine industry. Because without Sips with Soul, most people wouldn't go to these Black owned wine farms. They wouldn't have heard about it. If I
Right.
hadn't been saying Black owned wine routes, nobody would have said, you know what, let me make it a point to go to Klein Houderness. Let me make it a point to go and find Carmen
Let
Stevens.
me
Let me
go to
make it a
brunch.
point to
Yeah,
taste
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nziki's wines, right? And I don't mean to say, I mean,
Mm.
and not just me, people like me. I want to say people like me. I don't want to say, oh gosh, it's just me, it's just me. It's not like that. But I'm just saying, if people like me don't wave this flag and say, hey, listen, go to these people because they're there, because they don't have, take it back to colonization. They don't have the money, inherited money from a farm that our ancestors worked on and made their parents rich. So the people, and you know what I mean? Like, if you just look at it basically like that, if I'm competing against some white person in South Africa who owns a farm, who
Mm,
owns the farm for 5 generations,
mm.
every single generations that they own that farm, their family owned that farm. Somebody from, maybe not because I'm not South African, but somebody from your lineage has worked that farm for free or close to free and
Exactly.
has made that family rich. And
Exactly.
so they have Now they have the marketing budget to market like crazy. They can pay for Facebook ads. They can hire a marketing agency at 100,000 Rand a month, right? But now here it is. You just got free 30 years ago and you have no inheritance. So, like, what are you going to do? That's why Sips with Soul is so important. So, yeah. I'm excited about Cape Town and how amazing it is and the people. And, I just love South Africa and I love the people of South Africa. I think they're some of the most kind and forgiving and generous
Oh,
people that I know. I'm happy to be a part of the community. I'm excited. I'm excited about what's happening in the global wine industry for Black people.
that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for answering the
Oh,
way you've
gosh.
answered. Yes, there's a way you've answered the questions, and you've shared with me how your philosophy is, how you move in the world. You know what I mean? How you show up in the spaces. Yeah, how you
You got
show
to
up in
see
the
the
spaces.
crazy mind behind the person.
Oh, no, I love getting into people's philosophy on life and why you are who you are. Oh my goodness, just like Black Lives Matter, I told everybody who would listen at the time that it doesn't mean when we say Black Lives Matter that no other life matters. We are saying that you have to recognize, everybody has to recognize that for a long time, Black people were on the chopping block, for goodness sakes.
Hmm.
Literally, hands were chopped off, fingers were chopped off, heads were chopped off, people
Literally.
were beheaded.
I don't even want to coexist. I want to just co-live.
Let's go
Yes.
beyond. Let's go beyond
Yes.
existence.
All right. Well, Lebo, I gotta get back to
Let me
work.
let you go. I
Amazing talking
appreciate
to
your time.
you.
I appreciate. Thank you, sis.
You're welcome. Bye bye.